Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. My name's Hannah and on this channel I post a lot of anti-MLM content, so as always a playlist will be linked right here for you. This is my big anti-MLM playlist. Every video I've ever created on this topic can be found there, and if you find this content entertaining or valuable or educational, I would love it if you consider subscribing and liking this video. Those things really help to support the channel and get the word out a little bit farther, so I appreciate you so much for doing that. And before we get into the video, here's a little bit of an unrelated fun fact, if you will. I am filming this video in January, and odds are you're likely not going to see this video until sometime in March or April, maybe even May. And that's because as of today, I'm in the third trimester of my pregnancy, and I'm gearing up to give myself some semblance of a maternity leave. So for the next 12 weeks, or however long I have until she decides to make her appearance, I'm going to be pre-filming, pre-editing, pre-scheduling as many videos as I can to go live after she's born so that I can still have a little bit of a break, but there will still be regular uploads on the channel. I don't know if this is going to be the first video you see while I'm on maternity leave, or the 5th or the 10th, or however many I get done, but if you are seeing this video, that means that I have recently become a new mom and I have a little newborn at home, and I am surely just blissful and so excited and so happy and really thanking myself that I pre-did these videos months in advance. Horror story videos in particular are really easy to prepare ahead of time, and I am eternally grateful for the fact that I have so many horror story submissions and I have so much content to get through, and that I have that privilege to be able to make these videos ahead of time. I think that's really going to make my transition into motherhood a lot easier and give myself a little bit of breathing room as I am readjusting to my life being flipped upside down, and kind of giving me some space to figure out what my new normal is going to be and what my new routine and work schedule is going to look like when I do return to making videos after giving myself a few weeks off. So yeah, that's kind of unrelated, but I just wanted to throw that out there, and I wanted to say that I'm so appreciative for you as a viewer or a subscriber or a horror story submitter. I'm just having a moment of really deep gratitude and appreciation for all of you today, and the fact that your submissions and the things you send me for videos and all of your support, all of that makes it possible for this to be my job. And it puts me in this really unique situation where I can prepare months ahead of time and I can have videos ready to go to give myself a little bit of a break and to really enjoy that newborn phase. So not to get all sappy and stuff, but I'm just feeling really grateful, really appreciative. And quite honestly, without you, these videos would not exist and this could not be my job. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't recognize that. So thank you for everything. And I hope you enjoy these videos while I'm taking a little bit of a break. I'll be sure to announce as soon as I'm back. I'm really excited to come back. I love YouTube. I love working. This channel is not going anywhere. It's not going to change. I'm just taking a little bit of a break. So thank you for being patient with me. And with all of that being said, I do have some horror stories for you today, so let's read them. This one says, "Hi Hannah, I found your videos due to YouTube's algorithm and I can't stop watching." Thank you, algorithm gods. We love when that happens. "It wasn't until I started listening to these other stories that I realized they are so similar to mine. Thanks for all you do." Anyway, yes, I was a Scentsy hun. It all started in 2012 when my husband and I moved from Oklahoma to Kentucky. He was in the army but has since retired. I'm not sure how it happened, but I came across Scentsy products. I bought a warmer and some bars and really liked it. So after some time, I decided to start selling it. When I started to buy it, I literally just chose a random consultant from their website. So when I decided to sell it, I just signed up under her. Yeah, you're bringing up something that is not super common, but definitely does happen, that sometimes if you are searching for an MLM company and you just go like Scentsy.com or Optavia.com or whatever, you'll notice that it will just automatically assign you a representative. And you can see it up in the URL. It'll say like Scentsy.com/ and then the representative's username. This is just an example. I don't know for sure if this is exactly how Scentsy works, but some companies do that. And if you're on that website and you go as far as to make a purchase, whoever that rep is, they get credit for it. Or if you decide you want to join an MLM without knowing anybody in that MLM, they'll typically give you a list of representatives to choose from, usually from your geographical area, and you just pick somebody at random and you become a part of their downline or you make a purchase under them, and that person gets credit for that sale or for that recruit without having to do anything at all. This is not very common. Usually the reps have to kind of work on people to sell them a product or to recruit them, and it's a little bit more effort effort and you don't just accidentally get people added to your downline, but it does exist. It does happen. So thank you for mentioning that. I had no idea who she was. I had never spoken to her prior. I had met her for the first time when she came to the house we had just bought to drop me off something. She knew the prior homeowner as she was one of her customers. So after signing up to sell, I was all in. It's been about 10 years now, so some details are fuzzy, but I do remember being added to the Facebook groups and getting all the praise and introductions. I also remember having to pay a fee to keep my back office active and having to sell like $150 a month to stay active. Needless to say, I was buying a lot of product for myself, but it was okay because I was also using a lot of it and I truly did love it. I had the bars, I had the warmers, I had the scent packs, I had the little stuffed animals you put the scent packs in. I really did love and stand by the products. I did okay, I guess, and I managed to talk 2 people into signing up under me, though they did not sell anything at all. To get sales, I would do a multitude of things. The first thing I did was join all those Facebook groups for small businesses. I posted daily, sometimes more than once, talking about how great Scentsy was and advertising new products or sales. However, this did not produce the results I was hoping for, but it did result in me buying from consultants of other businesses in a sort of purchase swap. This was designed to help us both with our sales, and it did. But since we were buying from each other, it didn't help us make any money. So that's kind of interesting. It's like, I'll buy something from your MLM if you buy something from mine, so we both hit our goals and our quotas. But at the end of the day, even though you're hitting those quotas, you're not making any actual money out of it. I tried doing online parties for friends. I can't remember if anyone actually did one, which probably means it didn't go well. I set up at charity events and offered to donate my proceeds. This worked to some degree, but then I had to donate all I made, so there was no profit for me at all. I began to cold message people I hadn't talked to in years, like family members, which did get me some sales, but not enough for the effort I was putting in. I remember one time talking to a guy I had interacted with on one of these groups, who I found out was Jewish. We had a warmer with a menorah on it, and I excitedly told him about it, sharing pictures so he could see it. He told me the high pressure sales approach won't work on him, and he never bought a thing from me. This business began to consume me, and I became so fake. I spent so much time running from this place to that place, on the phone with people, networking, setting up at events, putting on a fake smile, being fake nice, all in the hopes of making a sale. I am not an overly outgoing person, so all this talking to people was very hard for me. I mean, so far it sounds like you are just exerting unimaginable amounts of energy for not much payoff. And I think that that's something a lot of people in MLM companies can relate to on some level, that they're doing all the things they think they need to do to be successful or to make the sales, and they're working really dang hard, but they're not seeing any results from it. And it's not from a lack of hard work. Sometimes it's just really difficult to sell these products. And people have to consider if all this time and energy that you're putting into it is really worth it at the end of the day. Then things began to sour and I wanted out. This business started to feel like I had a new baby that I had to constantly give attention to and nurture in the hopes that it grows up to be something productive. That's a good analogy. I've never heard that, but I'm on board with that analogy. I already had a young child and a husband who was gone a lot, and it just became too much. My sales weren't great, I was having no luck on the Facebook groups, and I was becoming uninterested in Scentsy. Plus, the smell of the products began to give me a headache, and I wasn't really using them anymore. Oh, and they had these scent packs that you could put in like your sock drawer to make stuff smell good. I used one in the filter part of my vacuum, so when it was on, it blew smell around, which I liked. But we discovered that it irritated the skin of my daughter's friend. For some reason, she thought it was fun to rub it on her face, and then her skin would get all red and irritated, so I had to get rid of them. I had spent hundreds of dollars on a starter kit, on product to have on hand, on catalogs, on labels for the catalogs, on making samples. My direct upline suggested I get small baggies from Walmart and cut pieces off of bars and put them in baggies, and then staple those baggies to catalogs when I handed them out so people could smell the bars in hopes they'd want one. And I spent a lot of time, and none of this was doing me any good. Knowing that I was probably about done, I began to post on my upline's Facebook group that I had bars I wasn't going to use in an attempt to unload them in case someone else needed them. Apparently, that was a violation of the group's rules, and not only were my posts taken down, but I was messaged by my upline and told what rule I had broken. The group was set up so that you had to look through all the posts for people requesting bars, and if you had it, you could reply, but you could not list bars or any other item you had to get rid of. This just seemed so silly and time-consuming to me. I then apparently broke the rules again by selling 3 of my personal warmers to someone at a discount. This was when my direct upline began to show her true colors. I'm not sure how she found out, but shortly after I sold the warmers, she sent me a text and boy was she mad. She told me I violated the company rules by doing this and undermined the sales of others and blah blah blah. I didn't care as I was basically just done at this point. I had tried to talk to her about what I could do to boost my sales only for her to tell me that I wasn't working hard enough. See, that's what I'm saying. You're clearly working very hard. And this is a great reminder that someone's success or failure in an MLM oftentimes has very little to do with hard work or work ethic. It has a lot more to do with timing and luck. That was her only advice, and she was so cold when she said it. The love bombing was gone and propping me up was gone. She was a top earner and even had gone on trips with the owners, so clearly my failure meant nothing to her. She had hit the market when it was new in our area, she was the go-to, and she knew it. Where I lived was kind of a good old boy area, and it was literally who you knew there. Outsiders like me weren't treated as well as someone like her whose family had been there for generations. At that point, I told myself I'll just drop off the rest of the catalogs I have at random businesses nearby and see what happens. I never got one call. My last sale with the company was over $2,000, which ended me on a good note and earned me some cool stuff. My direct upline was stoked to see it and tried to get me to stay based on that, but I couldn't be swayed. I went to my direct upline's house to pick up all of my free goodies I had earned, and I told her that I didn't plan to keep them and that I would just sell them once I was officially out of the company so I don't break any more rules. She asked me how much I wanted for them and she paid me on the spot. So much for not selling things at a discount, undermining sales, and blah blah blah. Once everything was gone, the last thing I had to do was get rid of my sample kit, which went up on eBay and sold pretty rapidly. And that was it. I was done with Scentsy. Overall, everyone in my upline was very hands-off unless I did something wrong. We didn't have training calls that I was aware of. We were just kind of left to our own devices, and we had to hope that we weren't breaking any rules. The best part of all of this was that I was an independent contractor, so I got to pay taxes on my measly earnings because it totaled just over the $600 threshold, even though I probably spent more than that on all the things I had to buy and my time. I mean, that would be a really interesting thing to calculate, and I would always encourage people in MLMs to keep good records and keep good books of your income versus your expenses. Because you're totally right that maybe you did make $600 in income, but how much money did you spend on all of these things that you listed? The samples, the catalogs, the travel time, the products for yourself, all of that counts, and all of that goes towards your bottom line. And this is what we mean when we say that most people in MLMs actually lose money, because if you do that math, you see that you put way more into it than you ever got out. During my time in Scentsy, I also dabbled in a few other ventures thanks to my being in those Facebook groups. My direct upline could see me doing this stuff too and messaged me to tell me she thought I might be trying to do too much at once. She was probably afraid that she was going to lose me or that I wouldn't be putting my all into making her money with Scentsy. Anyway, some of the companies I tried included Avon, 31, Perfectly Posh, and others I can't remember. I do remember almost getting sucked into, I think, Jamberry, but I never signed up. I really did enjoy 31. The bags were good quality, and during trainings we were given new ones to show off. Perfectly Posh also had some good products, but during my first meeting with the upline and another consultant at a coffee shop near to me, the consultant decided to approach the employees with her samples in an attempt to make a sale when I was sitting right there, and this was my local area, not hers. That left a bad taste in my mouth. We had met there to get to know each other and to put together samples just like I did with Scentsy. I never did sell anything from Perfectly Posh, and my time there didn't last long. I do remember meeting a mother and daughter duo that were in an MLM so I could sign up under them to sell their products, but I can't remember the name of the company now. It may have been 31, but it seems like it was some sort of makeup brand. Maybe it was Unique, I don't know. Anyway, I remember telling them how much I was struggling with Scentsy, and I remember the mom telling me she knew my direct upline and that she had a reputation of stealing her downline sales. It sounded like she would meet people and try to sell to them, and when they would say that no, I already have a consultant for Scentsy, she would find a way to get them to buy from her instead. I couldn't even believe it. It made me so mad to think that she could have done this to me. These Huns are 1000% ruthless, and it's truly gross the things they will say and do to make a sale. Thank you for giving us a place to tell our stories. More awareness needs to be brought to these predatory companies. Give the kitties pets for me. And more importantly, thank you for sharing your story, because as I already kind of mentioned at the beginning of this video, that I couldn't make these videos if I didn't have people sending me their experiences. And I love getting stories from people who actually actually were in the companies themselves and who were burned by those companies, and who are able to give me in great detail all the reasons why they had a bad experience and why that company is not something that they're a part of anymore. I think those firsthand accounts are so powerful, and I love when I get stories like that. Other MLM adjacent stories are great too, like knowing someone in one or being pitched for one, but it truly is the stories like yours that serve to validate all of those points that I try so hard to explain in my videos. These are all details that I can try to exhaustively explain, but it will never be as powerful as someone who had that experience firsthand and said, yes, that did happen to me. Yes, I can confirm it did go like that. Yes, I did lose money. Yes, it was predatory, and here's why. I know that these stories are potentially the most difficult to write because it requires you to sit down and look back and reflect on that experience, but I am so appreciative for people who have firsthand experiences in MLM. So thank you for sending this in. This story says, "Hi Hannah, I'm new to your channel and I've been binge watching the MLM horror stories and thought I would share my 2 MLM experiences. Please keep me anonymous. My first experience with an MLM started in high school. I was really shy and struggled to make friends. This was especially true with boys. While all my friends had a string of ex-boyfriends by this time, I could barely work up the courage to say hello to a guy I liked, let alone engage in a full conversation. That is, until church camp the summer of my junior year. I met this guy, we'll call him Mike. Mike and I really hit it off, and it wasn't just in my head for once either. All week long we hung out together and became good friends while we learned to rock climb, bike, and whitewater raft together. I wanted to be something more, but we lived an hour apart. I didn't have a car yet, so I knew dating would be nearly impossible. I was heartbroken at the end of the week when we had to say goodbye. Several weeks went by after camp, and I was still daydreaming about Mike. I missed him, but assumed that he had forgotten about me since I hadn't heard from him since camp. I thought I had the worst luck. Everyone at that camp lived close except for him. Then one day I got a Facebook message from Mike. I could hardly believe it. The message said, "Hey, how have you been? I've been thinking about you." My heart nearly exploded. I couldn't believe he missed me too. I would like to say that I didn't spend hours crafting the perfect response back, but unfortunately that's not the case. I was pathetic. I wrote, edited, and rewrote my reply over and over. It was practically a novel by the time I was done, updating him on my life since camp, asking about him and his family, and talking about the upcoming school year. I finally hit send and anxiously awaited his reply. I had already worked out in my mind a way for us to possibly hang out every other weekend if my dad was willing to drive me. Even though it had been several hours since his first message, he replied within seconds from my message. His reply to my message was 2 words, "That's good," that was followed by several paragraphs of a copy-paste script about his MLM selling energy drinks. Oh my gosh, how painful is that? Because that right there obviously tells you that he did not care what you were up to or how you were doing. He just said, "That's nice, here's my MLM pitch." This was too long ago for me to remember which company, but it went into detail about how I could sign up other people under me. Even though I was in high school, I knew it was a pyramid scheme. I was so upset. I had wasted not only hours on my reply message, but several weeks daydreaming about a guy who just wanted me to join his MLM. I also didn't understand how it was legal for a high schooler to own his own business. I sent him a reply back telling him how rude it was to make me think he cared about me when all he wanted to do was sell me energy drinks. He replied back with 2 words, "I'm sorry." I never heard from him again. My first teenage heartbreak involved an MLM. Oh my gosh, so sad. This guy is ruthless. He does not care at all. He has no regard for your emotions whatsoever. And it's not even like he has to like you on that level. Just be a decent human being, okay? Don't treat people like that. That's so messed up. And I'm also curious about this fact that he was in high school but also in an MLM, because typically, even though we don't know which company it was, the vast majority of MLMs, like pretty much all of the MLMs, require you to be at least 18 years old. So maybe he was an 18-year-old high schooler. That's a possibility. But were you 18 at the time? Because if not, then it wouldn't even be legal for you to sign up under him. My next experience with an MLM once again involved church. MLMs thrive in churches, especially in the small Baptist church I had joined as an adult. I was married at this point, and it was common knowledge in my baby-crazed church that my husband and I couldn't have children due to my premature ovarian failure. That's where Plexus comes in. Do not tell me that someone is about to try and convince you that drinking Plexus is going to give you a baby. I might scream if that's the case. A stay-at-home mom in my church with 6 kids joined Plexus to help bring in extra income. Most of the church members bought it from her. She advertised Plexus as being run by a Christian family. She said Plexus is a great product that could be sold by pharmacies, but the owners chose to sell it through individuals to keep the cost down so anyone could afford it. I call absolute BS. Plexus is so expensive. And I've looked at the ingredients and I've compared them to things you can find on Amazon for literally half the price. What a good deed the Christian family owners are doing for you by selling it through an MLM and not through a pharmacy. Like, get over yourself. Keep it away from big pharma or something like that. It was very God-centered. She said it was originally developed as a medication for diabetes, but it ended up being a great weight loss product and safe for anyone to use. She had visibly lost a lot of weight herself from the product. Her first sales pitch to me was telling me that Plexus would help me lose weight. I'd never told anyone I wanted to lose weight, and the assumption that I wanted to was rude. I didn't expect to come to church one day and be reminded that I was fat. It wasn't like I went to a Plexus party. I was just minding my own business after a church sermon one day when she approached me in the pews. It was really embarrassing because I'm self-conscious about my appearance, and suddenly having an acquaintance tell me that I needed to lose weight was like my worst nightmare coming true. She told me it would curb my sugar cravings and reset my appetite to normal, healthy levels. I was very overweight at the time. The idea of Plexus curbing all my cravings and giving me a healthy appetite level was appealing. I knew Plexus was an MLM, but I believed it must not be a pyramid scheme like the rest because she was a respected woman in our church and the pastor bought her products. Surely Plexus had to be legit if my pastor bought it. Our pastor was a very strict man and saw everything in black and white. If Plexus was okay in his book, then this must be a really good Christian company. She gave me free samples of the pink drink, enough to last 3 days. She said I would notice a change right away in my cravings. I asked how much Plexus cost, and when she told me, I tried giving the samples back. It was nearly $200 a month, and my husband and I were already living off of my credit card. I told her there was no possible way I could afford it. Oh, but wait, I thought that Plexus was just really doing people a favor by selling it through an MLM and not through a pharmacy to keep the cost down. I thought it was supposed to be very affordable for the average person. It's just so ridiculous. My goodness. $200 a month is not an insignificant amount of money. Most people don't have $200 a month to be spending on supplements. It's not affordable for most people. That's when she told me that I could sell Plexus to help offset the costs. She said I could sell it to all my family and friends. I knew that would be impossible because my only friends were other church members who she already sold to. I thought I could probably guilt my mom into buying Plexus from me, but I didn't want to do that. I'm too shy to be a salesperson and had no desire to sell anything, let alone a drink that I hadn't even tried yet. She told me she didn't think she was a salesperson either until she tried it. She insisted that I take the free samples and said that I would change my mind after trying it. So I did take the samples home. I drank the pink drink twice a day for the next 3 days. I wanted it to work. Even though I couldn't afford it, I wanted it to work because my paranoia about my weight had skyrocketed since she approached me. Unfortunately, the Plexus did nothing. It didn't even give me the placebo effect from wanting it to work. I was disappointed, but also relieved because I wrongly assumed that she wouldn't bring it up again since it didn't work. I don't like confrontation, and I was nervous enough to tell her it didn't work. The next church service, she excitedly asked how I liked Plexus. I told her it didn't work and I didn't notice any difference. She quickly made sure that I was drinking it at the right time of day and then explained that 3 days isn't enough and that I needed to be on it longer. I told her again I have no money, but she came back to the evening service that same night with a week's worth of samples. I told her again that I could not afford it and I didn't want to take any more of her product. She told me that I would change my mind after this trial. She followed up with me a few days later to see how it was going. No difference. I still craved sugar all the time. So here's what's kind of funny. I don't think I've ever said this on my channel before, but I've also tried Plexus. When I was in college, somebody sent me samples of it. I drank it and I noticed exactly no difference and no impact. And the same rebuttal to me was, well, you just didn't take it long enough and it wasn't enough time to really see the effects of it and you're just gonna have to buy the full pack. I didn't buy the full pack because I was dirt poor and had literally no money in my bank account, but that's always kind of fascinated me. Like, why would you give samples of a health and wellness product if the amount of samples you're giving isn't even enough for that person to notice any results? You're just giving away product. You're just wasting it on that person if that's going to be your rebuttal. Oh, you didn't take enough. Well, you didn't give me enough to take, and I don't have any money to buy the full pack. It's just kind of bizarre, but anyway, I can relate relate to you in the fact that I have also tried samples of Plexus and didn't notice anything different. After that, she finally dropped the Plexus pitch for a few weeks. I thought it was over, but this is where my infertility kicks in. No, I saw this coming. I already know I'm gonna get so worked up over this. While she never pitched to me directly about Plexus curing my infertility, suddenly she was posting on Facebook about Plexus babies almost daily. Disgusting. Plexus babies, can we not? She found stories of people who couldn't have children and magically got pregnant after being on Plexus. Seeing as I was the only woman in the church with fertility issues and our church was her entire customer base, I knew that those posts were directed at me. I saw story after story of miracle Plexus babies every day, and it really messed with my head. Keep in mind, every post included how God works through Plexus. It was spiritual manipulation at its finest. Ew, we really, really hate to see that. I wanted to have children so badly, and the hope that it would cure my infertility was hard to resist. I didn't understand how a weight loss product could cure my infertility, but hey, all medications have side effects, right? Maybe this was a weird side effect. I prayed about it, and like an answer to my prayers, the woman came to church the next service with a 2-week-long sample for me. She said maybe my body just needed more time, and she was sure after 2 weeks on Plexus, I would find a way to buy it. She said she took the 2 weeks worth from her own stash because she was certain that it would help me. I felt guilty taking so many free samples from her, but we didn't have enough money to pay our own bills, let alone buy Plexus. But now with the hope of a baby, I had to try it again. Maybe this was going to be my miracle. I'm so frustrated with this woman for putting you in this position. I used her free samples religiously for 2 weeks. Guess what? Nothing happened. My sugar cravings never went away, I didn't lose any weight, and I didn't get pregnant. She told me I probably needed a month or maybe even a few months for the product to work, but she couldn't give me any more free samples. Logically, I should have realized by now that Plexus was a scam. I had been given 3 free trials and none of them made even a slight difference. If the product was as magical as she claimed, surely something would have happened after all that Plexus. But I wanted to have children so badly, I would stare longingly at her website every day and wish I could afford it. I convinced myself this was a test from God that I somehow was failing because I couldn't afford Plexus. This went on for a few weeks, and I decided I was going to trust in the Lord and just go into debt for Plexus. She doesn't know this, but I had decided the next church service that I would buy a month's worth from her. But that week, she unknowingly turned me off the product with her Facebook posts. I went from fully believing Plexus would cure my infertility and make me lose weight to fully believing that it was a scam. It started with a before and after photo. She did those a lot with weight loss stories from Plexus, but this one was different. The before photo was of a man who was obviously underweight, likely suffering from an eating disorder. The after photo was him at a healthy weight, smiling and happy. The post talked about how Plexus helped him gain weight after years of his eating disorder. Now I was confused. Her main pitch was that Plexus was a weight loss product. It also helped with infertility somehow. I was okay with the product doing those two things, but weight gain? This was starting to sound sketchy. I struggled to see how a product could make someone lose or gain weight depending on what they needed. I ended up cautiously rationalizing it, thinking it must just regulate your hormones to a healthy level or something. I wanted it to be true, so I cautiously held on to hope. I was still planning on buying it on Sunday. But then the next day, she posted another before and after photo. This one wasn't weight related. It was a before and after shot of her daughter's hair. She claimed how much thicker her daughter's hair was since using Plexus. This post was praising the Lord for bringing Plexus into her daughter's life. Now, I couldn't deny the gut feelings anymore that this was a scam. The rest of the week followed with more and more bizarre things that Plexus would cure. This went from a weight loss product to a magical cure-all. I wish I could remember everything she posted about. I remember something about blood pressure and mood. It was truly insane and sometimes contradictory. She lost me as a customer before I had the chance to buy my first bag. I went from fully intending to buy a bag on Sunday morning to wondering why our pastor allowed this scam to run in our church. Humorously, a few months later, our pastor casually mentioned to my husband how he thought that Plexus doesn't work. He doesn't use it, but he buys a bag every month to help out that family. me. I don't understand why MLMs think it's okay to prey on vulnerable people. I'm so thankful I didn't waste any money on the pink drink. I left that church years ago, but recently found that woman on Facebook again. She's no longer a Plexus rep. I really hope she doesn't get sucked into another MLM, but I have to give her credit. She must have actually believed in the product with how many free samples she gave me. Thanks for all the good work you do. I love it. I love this story so much. Mostly I love it because you didn't end up buying anything and you saved yourself a lot of money and you realized that it was a scam before you bought it. Wonderful. We'd love to see that. But I also love this story because you did such a great job of explaining and detailing so clearly how contradictory these product claims can be. And I can't help but wonder, based on the fact that she knew you were struggling with infertility and all of a sudden all of her posts are about infertility. So do you think that it's possible that someone was struggling to gain weight, so she posts about results gaining weight? Somebody expressed concerns with their hair, so now she's posting photos of hair results. It kind of makes you wonder if she's just tailoring her posts to whoever her newest target is at the time, because maybe she knows that those people are following her and they're seeing her posts, so she's doing very passive aggressive strategic targeting to try and make the claim that Plexus products can help with whatever kind of health condition or concern they have. And it's just so beautiful to see that you saw all of those posts and you took a step back and you thought critically about it for a minute and you're like, something's not adding up here. And your story really does emphasize the fact that people, especially in health and wellness MLMs, do believe that their product is the miracle cure for everything. It could be anything from the texture of your hair to the fact that you're struggling with infertility. And that's a major red flag. No product can do all of those things. And if somebody is claiming that it can, that's a concern. So who knows? Maybe this woman really did believe in all of those health claims, or maybe she was being intentionally manipulative. But either way, it's still predatory. Knowingly or unknowingly, she was still engaging in predatory behaviors to identify certain people's pain points and to play into those for the purpose of making a sale. Thank you for this email, beautifully written, and I hope this can be a reminder for us all to really think critically about these product claims. Do they make sense? Are they logical? Can this possibly be true? Is it actually proven? And if the answer to any of those is no, then it's most likely not worth spending your money on. This story says, "Hi Hannah, I've been watching your videos for a while now, along with many other anti-MLM content creators, and I love every bit of it. I've kind of been deemed as the crazy anti-MLM chick in my friend group, all in good fun, of course, due to this obsession that has developed over the past year or so, as I will take any opportunity to bring it up. I personally have a lot of fun updating people who aren't super into this community on all the drama that happens in the MLM world, because even they can see that these are scams clear as day. I even got them invested in the WFAB drama, truly my greatest accomplishment. I've been binging your horror story videos and I think it's time for me to send you my story. It's not super crazy, but it was kind of the catalyst for me looking more into these companies and what they're really like behind the scenes. I would like to be kept anonymous. This story happened in the second semester of my freshman year of college. I go to school in my hometown, so I still live at home. Luckily, my parents have always supported me and I have a good job working in a lab to financially support myself. My parents have also taught me to be wary of people offering too good to be true opportunities and to understand that someone offering you something for free out of their own goodwill is sadly a rarity in this world. Although I wasn't really aware of what MLMs were at this point, I've always been the kind of person who questions everything, which is probably one of the reasons I didn't fall for this pitch. I love that. I am in full support of critical thinking and to ask questions and to be inquisitive and to look into things. I think those are all really great qualities to have. Now for the pitch. It happened, unfortunately, at one of my favorite places in the world, Target. Picture this. I'm in the beauty section of Target looking at hair dye. I look pretty rough, not gonna lie. Hair a mess, in a sweatshirt with the logo of my university I go to, this is important, and sweatpants. Literally all I wanted to do was be left alone to make poor hair decisions. I'm kind of in my own world when a girl who looks slightly older than me but still college age comes up and compliments my glasses. She is with who I assumed at the time was her friend. I'm a little bit taken aback but thank her for the compliment. She proceeds to continue the conversation, asking me where I got my glasses, how expensive they must have been. I literally got them at Walmart Vision Center, so no, they weren't expensive. Talking about how the blue light filtering lenses must be so nice, etc. She then points out my sweatshirt and asks me if I go to the school on the shirt, and I say yes. She then asks me about my major, if I like college, what I want to do after college, and so on and so forth. At this point, the conversation is getting a little long for my liking. It starts starts to feel like a little more than a friendly stranger trying to pay a compliment, and I'm trying to keep my answers as vague as possible. Mind you, her friend is standing there the whole time we are talking, just kind of observing. I start to feel a little bit uncomfortable and start to try and think of ways to politely excuse myself, as we have been talking for like 5 minutes at this point. And here comes the pitch. After asking me about college, she proceeds to tell me about her experience. She talks about how in college she never really had a direction and she switched her major so many times and just didn't know what she really wanted to do in life, until one day she met a couple from a neighboring city who retired in their 30s and who were mentoring her on, quote, how to achieve financial freedom and stability. So many red flags. Financial freedom, retiring in your 30s, screams MLM, please run. At this point, I am fully aware that this is not a conversation I want to be a part of any longer, and to be quite honest, my first thought wasn't, oh no, she's trying to sell me a scam. It was, this poor girl is definitely getting scammed. As a student, I know exactly what it's like to not have much direction and not know what I'm going to do in my future, and have many friends who feel similarly. It's a really vulnerable position to be in, and looking back, it seems like this couple that recruited her preyed on exactly that. At this point, I really want to be excluded from this narrative. Luckily, my mom, who came to Target with me, comes into the hair aisle and I'm able to excuse myself. Thanks, Mom, you're the best. I didn't fall for anything, and the only thought I'm left with is, oh, well, that was kind of weird, until I opened up my Facebook app later that night. My city has a community Facebook page on which people can post about things going on in the community. I've attached a screenshot of the post that I saw when I opened it this particular time. All identifying names have been covered for privacy. In this post, a person chronicles basically exactly what had happened to me. A seemingly kind stranger coming up to them in a public place and complimented them, telling them about their college experience and how they are being mentored by a couple who retired in their 30s and is teaching them how to achieve financial freedom. That weird feeling I had about this experience made so much sense now. And here's the Facebook post that you included. You can pause the screen if you want to read it word for word, but yeah, this is just someone being like, can someone tell me what's going on here? This has happened to me 3 times in the past 6 months. This is sketchy, and there's clearly a pattern to it, and other people must have experienced it as well. What's even more interesting is that everyone in the comments seemed to know it was an MLM, but had no idea exactly which one. Some ideas included Amway, Avon, etc., which raises another red flag. If the company is so great, why wouldn't you want to tell people its name? Very sketchy. If I had to give my 2 cents, I would say that it's probably Amway, only because there's that detail about the couple who retired in their 30s. Amway targets couples so heavily. Married couples, boyfriends and girlfriends, fiancés, if you can get 2 people who are in life together, and you can get those 2 people to commit to being in an MLM together now, it's kind of like one extra layer of indoctrination almost. It's a lot easier for the company or the organization to exercise control over 2 people who are in a committed relationship than it would be to exercise control over just one of those people. If you have 2 people who have heavily bought into this dream and this idea of what this company is going to bring them, 2 is stronger than 1. If me and my husband join Amway, it's going to be really hard for us to leave. Whereas if I just join Amway and my husband is an outsider or a non-believer or someone who can see the negative impacts that it's having on our finances, he would be that quote unquote negative influence on me. He would be the one to say, maybe we should quit Amway, maybe you should get out, we should leave this behind. But if we're in it together, then we're both brainwashed. And Amway knows this, and this is a very well-known strategy of theirs to target couples for that exact reason. Not to say that couples can't get involved in other MLMs too, but Amway is definitely well known for employing this recruit couples kind of strategy. I also wonder if this friend that the girl who pitched me was with was also a recruit, and she was using this as an example of how to pitch someone. I honestly don't know what is worse, being out with a friend and having to stand uncomfortably as she tries to sell her business to a random stranger, or being a new recruit who has to awkwardly observe this pitch to a random stranger. From there, I was curious about these MLM companies that the person in the post mentioned and looked into it. As you can see, since then I've fallen down the rabbit hole and couldn't be more proud to call myself the crazy anti-MLM chick. I do love the way that you talk about these companies and highlight the fact that those who recruit people into them were also preyed upon and recruited once as well. You handle these nuanced topics with such class, and that really doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for letting me send in my story. Keep fighting the good fight. Say hi to your cats for me. I can heavily relate to your experience of having a weird weird interaction and then just looking into it a little bit more. That's exactly how I got involved in anti-MLM stuff. 5 or 6 years ago, when I was new in college, one of the main catalysts for me getting interested in MLM companies was that I had 2 different people from high school that I both knew who sent me the exact same copy and paste Arbonne cold message like a month apart. So like 1 month I get it from this girl, a month goes by, I get the same message from a different girl, and I was like, what is going on here? Because I know both of you, and you're clearly both in Arbonne, and you clearly both have access to the same exact message, and you're both trying to pitch me for something. I don't know what it is. And that was one of the main things that really got me interested in what are these companies? Why are they having the same exact copy and paste message? Why did they both ask me, of all people? And it was through that I found out what Arbonne was, and I found out what an income disclosure statement was, and what a compensation plan was. And it was just this never-ending rabbit hole spiral that I couldn't get enough of. And I was 100% the crazy anti-MLM girl in my friend group too. Still am. It was one of my favorite topics to talk about with my friends. And I feel really fortunate that I've kind of turned that into my job, right? How cool is that? That now I get to talk about something I'm really passionate about, and this is my job. I am here for it. It's so unexpected, but I'm so thankful. All of that to say, I can really relate to this experience of having a weird encounter, and then because we were inquisitive, it kind of led us down this whole road of this topic that we didn't know we would be so passionate about until it was in front of us. Super cool. And the timing of this is impeccable because just yesterday, my sister-in-law sent me this TikTok. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play that TikTok for us right now. It's from a creator named Madison Humphrey. She made this genius anti-MLM TikTok about this exact situation of having a girl come up to you in Target and pitching her MLM. It's hilarious and scarily accurate. You have to see this. I'm putting it on the screen right here. You're gonna die.
I totally don't mean to like bother you while you're shopping, but I love your shoes. Yeah. Oh my God, girl, you are so pretty. You are so beautiful. Oh my God. Okay, so what do you do for work? Like, fill me in. Oh, me? What do I do for work? Oh, funny you should ask. I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, honestly, it's like super fun. It's super great. It's super flexible. Like, I work from home. Like, I do my own schedules. I do my own thing and never have to rely on anyone else. It's a business. It is. It's a great business to be a part of. Your hair is beautiful. Where do you get it done? Like, I'm looking for a new stylist. But like, honestly, when I like saw you, the first thing that popped in my head, I was like, she would totally be great a part of our business. What do we sell at our business? Okay, so I would totally love to like set up a Zoom call maybe and like talk to you more about that because it's kind of like detailed. Like, you have like the best figure ever. Do you work out? Girl, I could never work a 9 to 5. I honestly don't know how you do it. I have so much like financial freedom and opportunity with this business. I actually just got back from vacay with my team and we were able to work like the whole time. But you can totally set your own hours. Like, I just think you're like so pretty. Okay, girl, this is so fun. I honestly cannot wait for our Zoom call. I gotta go, but I'll definitely text you.
Is that not golden? Is that not exactly what you just described in your horror story? A girl your age approaching you at Target, starting off with a compliment, eventually progressing to what she does for work and how you'd be great at it. Like, it's just a cliche at this point. It's so comical. Anyway, Madison Humphrey, whoever you are, love that content. I'm gonna be checking out her profile later to see if she has any other anti-MLM stuff because that was brilliant. And what are the odds that my sister-in-law sends me that TikTok yesterday? I even shared it on my Instagram story because I was like, this is so perfect. And then here we are less than a day later and I'm getting a horror story basically recounting that exact experience that was parodied in a TikTok. Too good. And with that, my friends, it's all the stories I have for you for this MLM horror stories video. The first pre-filmed video for my maternity leave under my belt. It feels really good. Thanks to everyone who sent in a story. And if you have your own you would like to send in, the instructions for how to do that are down below. My inbox is always open. It will always remain open. Don't feel like just because I'm on a break right now that I'm not accepting new stories because I'm definitely gonna want those when I do come back really soon. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you and I'll see you in my next pre-filmed video real soon.